Hey everybody, it's Chris Jesty, finally back to the world of YouTube. Unfortunately, I took an arrow forward to the knee and lost a upper leg actuator. So I've been out of commission for a little bit. But going back into YouTube, I've got two very special guests with me today. Some of you may know them, some of you may not. You guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
It's Tom, call sign Pirate.
I'm Rick, call sign Nitro.
And this time around, I would love to do a match casting, and I'm going to be doing some of the VPT, even though it's pretty much over at this point, eventually. But we're going to be going over list submittals for the Great Refusal. This is the new event that's coming out, or by the time this goes live, is going to be starting in a few days. So it may or may not be too late for you to submit a list for this, but we're going to be going over our lists and a few other lists that we found interesting and just throwing our opinions out, analyzing the mechs, analyzing the synergy of the list themselves, and seeing where it goes. So with that being said, we're going to start with our lists first and then go into other people's lists as time allows. Who wanted to go first? You guys want me to go first or what?
Go ahead. Go ahead,
like, yeah, that's like cutting your own birthday cake. You're not supposed to go first.
Oh, okay, then
okay.
You go first.
All right, cool. I don't want to go first. Pull it up here. All right. So I have got the Nova Cats here.
Okay. I was about to ask what faction. One thing to explain. So Great Refusal, it's going to be Inner versus Clan. And if you went, it's very restricted on what factions, MULs you could use. Inner do get Nova Cat because they technically did fight on the Inner side. So that's why he's got Clan mechs and he's fighting for the Inner.
So I know it's the Star League Defense Force on one side, but what's the name of the clanners? Like the Grand Council?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. I have no idea.
Just comment in the section below so that we can figure that out for another day. So, anyway, do we want to cover some of the limits that are in place here, or rather, not limits, but some of the guidelines which will dictate why we build lists that look a little odd?
Yes.
Yeah, the build restrictions may be an important factor. Give me a second. Let me pull them up here. This is a very professional operation we've got here, in case you couldn't tell. All right, so we don't blah blah blah. Here we go. List building specifications. The important part, the part we care about. We're 9K battle value max. What else do we have? 4 to 6 battle mechs, omni mechs, battle armor, or combat vehicles. So all of those are fair game. Clan factions are only allowed to take frontline omni mechs, so we don't really get the option for combat vehicles and battle armor only. So clanners don't get vehicles, and Star League factions cannot take intro tech units. This is kind of going to be more of a reenactment than a hard competitive tournament. So there's that. Also, skills minimum 4-5 or 5-4, and the one-step rule. 4-4 is okay, 2-4 is not, 3-4 is okay. So for the clans, available factions were Blood Spirit, Fire Mandrill, Hell's Horses, Ice Hellion, Jade Falcon, Smoke Jaguar, Star Adder, and Wolf. Star League factions are Capel and Confederation, Clan Nova Cat, which we just went through, Comstar, Dracona's Combine, Fedcom, Free Rosselhog Republic, Free Worlds League, and the St. Ives Compact. And according to Tweezer, every single one of these factions has some representation as of right now. So we're all good. There is also a little bit of a special fluff rule. If you're playing Smoke Jaguar, you're required to include at least 1 point of elementals of any variant. And if you're playing Fedcom, you are required to take a Direwolf. It's a special ruling as part of the reenactment. And they must be your commander, respectively, in Mission 1, regardless of skill differentiation. Which is pretty cool, if you ask me.
Not just any Direwolf, also.
No, not? Oh, it has to be either Prime or B. Sorry. It has to be Prime or B variant. My bad.
No worries.
Also, global restrictions / bans. If you're a clanner, you get 36 pulse damage total. Per Star League. I'm sorry. If you're a clanner, it's 24. So we get the shaft on being allowed clan pulse lasers, but that's fair. There's no artillery. Ammunition choices are locked in when you submit your army. You cannot change in between games. There's a list of all the special ammo. We're not going to get into it. One thing to note that is kind of important is Thunder LRMs are fair game, and if you know anything about those, it's basically LRM mine launchers, and they do not break Zellbriggen, which is part of the event. If you don't know what Zellbriggen is, look it up because I don't either. More importantly, the cheese scores. So if you take more than one Jump 7 mech, you're losing 5 VP per game. And we all know what cheese scores are. They're to help keep list building in line so everything doesn't turn into Jump 7 pulse lasers. This way the games are a little closer and they're more fun and interactive, and we're not playing Chase the Spider all the time. By all means, you guys feel free to jump in and tack on anything you want. I'm just trying to get through this as fast as possible.
Nah, you're doing good, speeding through it. And you could say,
righto.
Not every MRC event has the same cheese scores, so it's worth looking at the packet to familiarize yourself before an event. This one has a lot of the common ones, but it's still different than others, so always worth reading the packet, which I'm sure we'll post a link to.
Oh, yeah, I will definitely remember to do that. I guarantee it. Also, minus 5 VP for each unit, which can move 15 hexes in a single turn beyond the first. So you can have one dasher, but you can't have two. Minus 5 VP for each unit with jump 6 and any pulse weapons. So 6 plus, I should say. So jump 6, jump 7, jump 8 with any pulse lasers, you lose 5 victory points straight up. And the part I like, and I'm probably going to be utilizing this in my next event, is the positive cheese scores. You get plus 2 VP for having 0 units with more than jump 5. I went for this. You get plus 2 VP for 0 assault weight units, which I also went for. Plus 2 VP for bringing a unit of skill 2 or better with a base BV of 1200. So you're going to see some interesting skill 2 units floating around out there. And also plus 2 VP for 0 head capping weapons on your list. So no ERPPCs, no Gauss rifles, which that one kind of hurt. And if you do all 4 of these, you get an additional plus 2, a little bonus for going out of your way to accommodate all these. And that's pretty much it. We don't need to get into scoring or pairings because we're just going over lists right now.
One more global ban is command consoles are not allowed. If you bring a unit that has a command console, you need to take away the extra pilot. That way, just the unit acts like a regular unit.
That gets the list building out of the way. Now, where were we? We were looking at Pirates list, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So let's talk about the Great Clan Nova Cat, defender of the Star League, and definitely not a cheese list.
We'll see if that's true.
So I went for all of the bonus points. So no head cappers, no jump 6 plus, a skill 2 over a certain level. So I went for all of those. So the way I built this list was I built it around this Mad Cat S. So this Mad Cat S has the exact limit of pulse because I wanted something to deal with the effing dashers that clanners are going to take. So you got 1 large pulse, 2 medium pulses.
That's perfect, right in the limit.
Yep, but then also it's got 4 SRM 6s, so I can, crit seek because I do like hole punching and crit seeking. I'm a little worried about this machine gun ammo. I'm probably going to dump the ammo turn 1 any chance I can get. But outside of that, I'm liking this. I mean, it's a Mad Cat and the special skill of why it's an S. And I didn't realize this, but most S variants have this. It jumps. So it jumps 5, and with a 2-3 pilot, I'm hoping that in one of these subsequent missions where you get bonus points for physical attacks and you get the most for DFAs, I'm hoping I can DFA somebody with a Mad Cat, because that sounds hilarious, and it sounds just so clannery of just, hey, I'm going to stick some awesome badass in a pilot and just go around stomping everybody with a Mad Cat.
It sounds almost as iconic as a Highlander burial.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't see a lot of Mad Cats with jump jets, which is real interesting. And it looks fairly heat efficient, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, so I need to be a little careful about alpha striking, but that's a lot of numbers to add together.
Yeah, and if you don't jump, you get to shoot an extra weapon and all that. So
yeah, so I think if I don't fire the large pulse, then I can fire everything else and just be like 2 or 3 into the red.
Damn, that's a solid mech. And you went 2-3 with this thing? This is 4,100 battle value. Good lord.
Yeah, so it's more than half my list battle value, but the idea is if I can be really hard to hit at range and jumping, then that means I have a significant amount of battle value that's tied up in something that is hard to hit. But additionally, I can use it for like positioning. So instead of having everything spread out where it's a shooting gallery, this is kind of like, if we do Zellbringen, someone's going to have to try really hard to take that thing down one-on-one, or I just play the maneuvering game, and if I outmaneuver the enemy, there's less shots on target for them to take. So,
also very true. Jumping into woods is nice.
But that Mad Cat S, I noticed that like 6 other players independently used it in test lists. I think we're going to see a lot of that one.
Yeah, I think Tweezer said so far it's the most picked mech.
It's exact cheese limit, it's exact jump limit, and it's just nasty. So yes.
Oh, very solid. And next up is a mech I'm actually familiar with because someone used it against me at the LVO, and I was surprised because they used it very, very extremely because it was a Solaris match.
So the Blackhawk H is your standard Blackhawk, except you switch out those ER mediums for heavy medium lasers.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's also too many for me to count. I think it's like 10 heavy mediums.
Yeah,
but the problem is
that's 100 damage if you alpha strike with this thing.
Well, and you alpha strike with it, you generate 70 heat, and your 40 heat sinking ability is going to struggle with that.
Yeah, funnily enough, the guy I played in Vegas did that and just annihilated one of my mechs with 100 damage, and then shut down for 2 turns and was perfectly fine because I had hardly any weapons left over to retaliate. So it's a viable tactic.
And that's exactly why I took it. So for a few reasons, but it's a way of just shooting my shot. A, that's really funny. That's the primary reason. B is if I am going to whittle somebody down, or like in the King of the Hill match, 100 damage to a rear, especially if I got good numbers, is probably worth me sacrificing that mech.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you're 3-4 too, so the jump is going to put you up to 6 base, which isn't terrible, honestly.
Yeah, and then the 1 for the heavy mediums, because it doesn't have a T comp, puts me at 7.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oof.
But here's the goal: is those 10 damage shots mean I can pick off salamanders, which I saw a lot of other people bringing, or just 2 of them need to hit to trigger a PSR, unlike 3 of them with a regular Blackhawk.
Also very true.
So I'm hoping this is my backup DFA'er, but also if I can get these 2 salamanders, which I also have in the list at 3-2 skill, to do any leg attacks and take out like a gyro or take out a hip actuator, something that causes the mech to fall over, then I guess that makes sense because leg attacks don't hit gyros, but foot, leg actuators, hip, whatever. If I can get them to do that, trip somebody, and then I can jump behind them or run behind them with the Blackhawk H and hit rear armor while they're prone with a -2 and no TMM, I'm thinking that might be a nasty 1-2 punch.
Yeah, that's also going to be super solid.
And failing that, I needed some heat, so I was trying to find a way to bring Infernos So the salamanders are also there to shoot heat on a mech to slow it down or shut it down, maybe. And that'll make jumping and DFAing easier with the two that we just mentioned. And worst case scenario, I brought a Dasher Rage. It's just too efficient not to. At a 2-3 skill, that's 1300 BV. It's a single tactical nuke, basically, or an objective runner. But, if somebody decides to be a sniper in a nest somewhere, especially any of these mechs that have, like, arm weapons, because Inner Sphere mechs tend to have torso weapons, rather, I'm hoping I can just zip behind them, blast them, and move on. If I get more than 2 shots out of that Dasher, it's paid for itself. Even if I get 1 shot, it might pay for itself, but we'll see.
Yeah, as long as you trade up in battle value with an opposing mech with the Dasher, then yeah, it's done its job. Or made them so scared of getting rear shotted by the Dasher that they're not taking the field like they should be, or they would like to, then it's also paid for itself.
And that's one thing that Vapor has said multiple times, but I just haven't taken it to heart until recently, is that the threat of a Dasher might make your opponent move weird so that, okay, I don't have to use my 1 single shot this turn. I just have to place it somewhere where they know, okay, I have to do stuff because of it. And then I'll probably get more damage out of that and not actually shoot the thing until turn 7 or 8.
Yeah, but for those of you who may not know, the Dasher H is a light mech, moves 10-15 with mass, can go up to 20 hexes in 1 turn, which is a lot, and it's got a bunch of heavy small lasers and a targeting computer to cancel out that +1. So it's going to hit a lot more consistently than that Blackhawk H is, but it's also got 38 armor, so if something looks at it funny, it's just going to fall over and disintegrate.
Correct, and I'm worried about clanners with pulse weapons in the arms, like my Mad Cat, or something. I don't think anything can arm flip as easily. Maybe a Puma of some sort. But I'm worried about pulse lasers in the arms being able to turn and shoot backwards at it. So that's what I mean. I'm probably gonna be very conservative with that Dasher.
Yeah, that's always a concern, especially when you're going up against a bunch of clanners with arm weapons.
Like the Blackhawk. Blackhawk can arm flip, so don't go chasing Blackhawks with Dashers.
So can the Nova Cat, by the way.
Ah, crap. So, but the whole point of this list is to be very mobile and to cause PSRs or heat to slow people down and then jump on them. So it's been playing really well, so I'm excited to use it. And I'm also excited that, like, 4 other lists I've seen have basically been Mad Cat S, some sort of Nova, Salamanders, and a Dasher H. So we're going to do a lot of mirror matches, I think.
Well, it'll be real interesting to do mirror matches. Also, I noticed your mech spell, shh.
That was unintentional.
SHH.
That's just go to sleep. Just go to sleep now. We're going to put you to shut down. Don't worry. The nice little foot from the Mad Cat is just going to, rub your head a little.
But yeah, it's a scary list. The piloting and gunnery at 2-3 on the Mad Cat and the Dasher is very worrying for someone like me. You're going to be nailing with those pulse lasers at a base of 0, which is absolutely disgusting.
I'm going to need it if I'm jumping the whole time, because I fully expect people to go, well, that's 4,000 BV, and if I can nail that Mad Cat, which has a bunch of SRM ammo, then we're good. And I've lost so many Mad Cats to through armor crits to ammo bins. I'm a little worried. I love the Mad Cat TC for similar reasons, but definitely it's been playing well, and I'm looking forward to using it.
Oh yeah, it's a solid list, and I'm worried because I'm a clanner. One thing that Nitro just brought up is we should actually probably go over the missions real quick. That way, we know why and what we're building for. So one thing to know is all the maps, I do believe, are going to be randomly generated, except for one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, so week 1 mission is cut off the head. You identify the commander, which is the best skilled or tied for the best skilled of all mech pilots on their list. So I think you get a pick Pirate because you have 2 different 2/3 mechs.
Correct, and I tell you now, it's going to be the Mad Cat, because having a Dasher as your commander is either going to play, I'm going to hide this the whole time, or somebody's going to roll an 11 to hit, and that's the end of the game.
Exactly. I don't blame you. So yeah, you get objective points for destroying the enemy commander, and you keep objective points, I should say, for keeping your commander alive. And like we said earlier, if you're Smoke Jaguar, you have to have a point of elementals as your commander, and if you're Fedcom, the Direwolf has to be your commander regardless of skills. All right, and week 2, what is this? It says Fisticuffs. This is the melee mission. I forgot about this. So you get objective points for doing death from aboves and charges and physical attacks. And battle armor, leg attacks count as physical attacks, as well as swarms. And I do believe he mentioned that consecutive swarm attacks count as a melee attack. So once you swarm the guy and then you stay on him, you can keep swarming him and you'll get 5 points every turn you stay on him. I wouldn't recommend it against a mech, but a vehicle, maybe. And you earn tiebreaker points for each failed DFA and 1 tiebreaker for each other failed physical attack. So even if you attempt it, you're still getting tiebreaker points, even if you whiff.
I like that because it encourages it. So that's part of why I've got jumpy stuff and leggy stuff and kicky stuff is I want to go right in people's face and have fun.
Oh, I agree. I don't think you should be punished for attempting to do the objective, and this is rewarding you. So this is great. What do we have? Week 3 next is Take and Hold, and this one does have specific maps that we're going to have to use. Frozen Streams and Frozen River. I've looked at them briefly before, and also we're going to have planetary conditions, light snowfall, and temperature of negative 50 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure how those affect the game completely. Oh, hey, it says right here. Extreme temperatures found in Tactical Operations book. TLDR, with light snowfall, vehicles and infantry are at -2 cruising MP and subtract 2 heat points from a unit's overall heat buildup each turn. Conventional infantry, they won't be happy. Good to know.
Nitro, you just got done playing a practice of that. Any basic and generic tips for list building that you might recommend for somebody?
The only thing that I would say for this particular mission is you can go a little bit Meshuggah with heat weapons, but not a whole boatload. And I'll try and avoid having had vehicles, if possible.
Yeah, and this is basically King of the Hill, if I'm not mistaken.
Basically, yes. There is this one point in the middle of the map where within 2 hexes of it, you can score points if you have the most units. Other than that, yeah. It's gonna that -2 cruising MP is critical.
Yeah, makes sense, especially on some assault vehicle, which goes from like a 2-3 to a 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and week 4 is a stand-up fight. Combat score is doubled at the end of the game. There's no additional objectives. With a little bit of a twist, we're going to do Top Gun Fighter School here. Each player adds a specific aerospace fighter to their list, depending on whether or not they're Star League or Clan, and we just go at it. Also, attacks from the aerospace fighter do not break Zellbriggen. So we each get to play with the aerospace unit and see how it goes. So I haven't looked at these yet. Clan players get a Turk B with Gunnery 4-4, and Star League players get an Eagle EGL-R6 at Gunnery 3-4. I don't like that. How come? Might as well look them up.
Yeah, that Turk B seems nasty.
I heard something about the inner sphere gets pulse lasers or something like that.
Eagle R6. Hang on. Where is it? Here we go. Eagle R6. That's a funky looking fighter. Movement 6'9". So this thing is pretty slow, I think, for a fighter, unless I'm
No pulse
mistaken.
lasers, but it is laser galore.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 large lasers and 4 medium lasers. And then we get the Turk B as a clanner, right?
Yes, sir.
What do we have? Oh, 2 ER mediums and 2 UAC 10s. Okay, all right, I guess.
7-11 movement profile.
Yeah, we're faster, so I guess that makes sense. It's a 50 tonner versus the Eagle.
Let me see a comparison of BV. 1774 for the Turk versus the
Eagle is 1467. Okay, so that's the BV makeup right there. All right. Oh, the Eagle's also a 75 tonner versus the 50 tonner.
That is true. The Eagle has way more armor.
But the Turk is a good bit faster. So that's neither here nor there for list building purposes. We're all just going to have to figure that out when it comes to Mission 4 while we're trying to kill each other. All right, Nitro, you're up next, good sir, as the guest.
Well, for my list, I'm going Draconis Combine. I'm going back to my roots, if you will.
Yay.
That's how I started here in the MRC. Might as well. I wanted to make a splash, I guess.
Yeah, I recognize some of these units. Some old favorites here and there.
Actually, none of these I have used before per se. I have used the Nodachi variant that has all the pulse lasers. This one does not. This one is actually completely different. This Nodachi carries twin MRM 20s, 2 SRM packs, a 2 and a 4, an ERPPC, and a medium laser.
No, this thing is scary. All Nodachis are scary, but it's 5'8" on a 70 tonner with TSM and a sword.
Yes, sir. That's the gimmick. I figured that this unit, I wanted to emulate a little bit the actual makeup of the Great Refusal Draconis drop deck. And one of the commanders in there is in a Nodachi 1K. And I named them the same way, emulated gunnery and piloting, and I built this force basically around that one unit.
Nice.
Oh, wow. He's a 3-2. Whew.
So I figured that for mission 2, Fisticuffs, the Nodachi is going to be critical. I know it'll be a big bullseye walking around, but I know he'll be critical. And I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful because this unit is actually the riskiest out of everything, considering how much of an ammo box it is.
Oh, yeah, that's a fair point.
Not only for that, but also internal explosions because it's got ammo on a TSM mech.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't see any case on there either. Oof.
So it's a risky, but I'm trying to go thematic. And then following that up is the Black Hawk Coup original. I figured that having a jumpy fast boy might be good, along with the lasers galore. It just made sense. Gunnery 2, piloting 3. I'm hoping that I can get this infighter in and knife fighting efficiently. The battle armors that follow through are a Raiden battle armor, which is basically almost the same as an IS standard. It's just a Draconis version of an IS standard. I have it at 4.5, and that one's clinging onto the Black Hawk. Followed by that is a Kentaro. This one was the slot that I was debating on what else to bring to kind of fill it in. And I ended up with this one. It has a standard engine, 585 movement profile, twin streak 6s, and triple ER mediums. The C3 slave is not being used. It also has case. So case and a standard engine, let's go.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be hard to take down, and he's close to max armor, too.
So similar to the Black Hawk original, but just a little bit better, I want to say. And lastly, a Kanazuchi assault battle armor with a Karnov transport. Now I know I mentioned it earlier that mission 3, that -2 cruising is going to be killer, and the Karnov is going to suffer for that. But in all reality, I'm just using that 6-unit slot as an initiative sync once it drops off the Kanazuchi. It's mostly meant for that mission 3 King of the Hill thing. Drop off the Kanazuchi and just fly it around, whatever. I wish you could use it to charge and, slam it into somebody, but you can't. VTOLs don't work that way. So yeah, that's the basic gist of it. The Kanazuchi is just meant to, like I said, plant their feet on the objective and try not to budge. Their armor should be able to make them tanky with the trees around, even tankier. So
yeah, 15 armor on each trooper and then 1 extra internal. So you've got to hit these things at least 3 times in order to bring them down with clan lasers. Per trooper, by the way.
Per trooper. I took this Kanazuchi versus a clan elemental battle armor. And the first salvo between the both of them, the Kanazuchis were basically almost unhurt. The elementals were, I want to say, almost 70% dead. And I mean dead. The troopers died on the elemental side like nobody's business. I had max SRM rolls. So it was a slaughter in one go. I was like, okay, yeah, this sold me. I'm done.
Oh, wow. At 3.5, these things are also dirt cheap at only 446 battle value. I mean, base elementals at 4.5 are 404 with flamers.
Yeah, more armor, just slightly more firepower in the short run. Yeah.
They just can't move.
They just
one X a turn.
They just can't move. I didn't fill out the deck with the pulse laser limit, unfortunately. It just started getting a little too hard to try and look to min-max that. But
well, you got 24 off that Black Hawk alone, so you're sitting pretty.
Yeah, I'm meeting the clan requirement, but not the IS requirement, even though this is an IS list. So I'm playing this almost like a clan faction, even though it's not.
Yeah, you got battle armor and Omnimex, and what's going on here?
I was trying to emulate a clan deck. I had made 2. I had made a Star Adder one, and I had made this one. I got success with the Star Adder one, so I emulated some stuff over to this one with the Black Hawk and the battle armors, and it's stuck. The strategies and tactics kind of stuck.
I really like the Kanazuchi because I think in lore it scared the crap out of the clanners who went, oh my gosh, they can tank an ERPPC and keep moving.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, not much. They're only moving that 1 hex, but they're moving, and that's what's important.
The commander, I'm still a bit at a toss. It has to be either the Nodachi or the Black Hawk or the Kintaro, one of the 3. I don't know which one yet. I'm thinking the Black Hawk, just to be a bit more thematic. No, thematic would be the Nodachi. The Black Hawk would be a little bit more, how can we say this? Min-maxing.
I was going to say the Kintaro because he's at least got some range.
That is true. The Kintaro with the standard engine, that would make the most sense, actually. You're not wrong.
Or it's a Draconis list, having somebody with a sword saying, for my honor, and running in and smacking people.
Thematic.
Kind of makes sense.
Yep.
That is the most thematic, but also the most suicidal, because you're going to have to get into melee range with that sword.
Yeah.
Go Bachal, because Zellbring is a thing, so Bachal it, and worst case scenario, the clanner is going to get so ticked off, they're going to just break Bachal and start shooting you.
So I'm very glad that you actually brought that up, because this list, when I built it, I was also trying to fill in that niche of what if I want to go one-on-ones? What units can actually try and pull that off the most efficiently, if I could even pull it off? And this list is definitely built around Zellbringen if it will be a thing. If my opponent agrees to it, I am definitely wanting my Nodachi to go one-on-one with something and just skewer it.
The only thing is you got to worry about that Nodachi going one-on-one against a dire wolf or something nasty like that.
Yeah, Yeah, that would be nasty. I did have a practice round at one point, the Nodachi versus a Nova, and the Nova just danced around. It was Commander versus Commander. That was that one mission that I played Commander in, and the Nodachi was the Commander, and the Nova was the other Commander. They were emulating a Jade Falcon deck, and the Nova was just dancing around the entire time. The Nodachi had no counter to that. I move quite a bit, but if there's a lot of stuff in the way, it becomes a hassle, almost near nigh impossible. Meanwhile, the ER Meads were just playing over the Nodachi like nobody's business.
Yeah, that's true. You got to account for that clanner range and mobility.
Mm-hmm. But that's what inspired me. That's one of the things that inspired me to bring in a Black Hawk Coup.
It's a solid mech.
So yeah, they're meant to. The three battle mechs are meant to complement each other and bully whatever needs to be bullied, and protect each other if need be, either through Zelbringen or not Zelbringen.
I mean, if you break Zelbringen, you only lose 5 points. I mean, if you win the match, 5 points is well worth the cost.
But I really want those extra 5. I'm already meeting the 10 bonuses, so I want those extra 5 for a bonus of 15.
Oh no, I know, I'm right there with you. but I would sacrifice Zelbringen in order to win the match. But that's just my personal choice.
If it comes down to that,
I'm not going to be breaking Zelbringen turn 1 or anything.
Right. If it comes down to that, I will decide in that moment. And it will be a very interesting decision to make. Do I hold true to the samurai honor, or do I, play it smart?
Is it honorable to lose?
Is it honorable to lose? It can be. It can be.
I think I read that somewhere where they said the Drax would always be honorable, except when they needed to be not honorable, so that no one knew that they were not honorable. In which case, no survivors.
No survive. Exactly. I don't know. If I get saddled up with a Smoke Jaguar opponent, I might not be honorable.
That's understandable, I guess.
Turtle Bay.
Yeah, Turtle Bay all over again.
All right. Well, we've seen some Star League lists. What about the trash and rabble from the backwater worlds that are coming to try to knock on our door?
Hey, it's called Strana Mekti. All right. And yeah, I am playing Clan Blood Spirit, but I'm going to be using Clan Sea Fox colors because I like blue.
All right, and I see a theme in this list before you even say anything else. I noticed something special about this list.
Yeah, so when I went to build this list, I noticed that Blood Spirit was in the pool, and I know they have my favorite mech on there, or, well, a facsimile of my favorite mech, because my favorite mech is generally not available outside of early or late Succession Wars era. But my plan was to take as many Stooping Hawks as I could. And I got 2 because that's the limit. You can only still take 2 within MRC limits. And I've got the Stooping Hawk Prime, which is a solid mech all around. And then I filled in after with the best mech I could find that would fit in the list at 2-3. That way I could get all plus 10 points. So I don't have anything over jump 7. I don't have any head cappers. And I've got a 2-3 mech of 1200 battle value or more. So I'm getting the full plus 10. And I forgot what the other requirement was, but I ain't got none of them either. Oh, assault mechs. So I'm a little light on tonnage, as you can tell. I've got 2 55 tonners and a 35 tonner. The list is minimum 3-4 across the board. Oh, actually, the Stooping Hawk C is a 4-4, which we'll get into that in a second. So let's start with the Prime. If you listened to me before, you probably already know this mech. It's a 585 55 tonner, 20 heat sinks total, 275 standard fusion engine on a clan mech, which you don't see very often. Close to max armor, short by like 13 points. It's got 2 ER mediums and 2 medium pulses, 1 in each arm, and then a ultra autocannon 10. And it's got enough ammo that it can double tap every turn from turn 1, and you're good. You don't have to worry about any ammo, which is solid. The only thing is it's not too heat efficient. It's got not enough sinks and too many weapons, so you just have to modulate your medium lasers and hopefully fire off that AC-10 every turn and double tapping. But yeah, one of my favorite mechs, all around solid. It's got pulse lasers in the arms, so I can smack dashers if they try to get in my rear arc. I've also got a squad of elementals at 3-3. These are the flamer variants. I don't recall whether or not BMM flamers are going to be turned on for this, but the flamer variant is a good option just in case you want to heat up a mech that tends to run hot. You have that option. It's just a machine gun that lets you do heat on occasion. And it's got, the standard SRM2 one shot, or two shots of it, but you know what I mean. We all love and know elementals. And now we'll get into the Stooping Hawk C. So I like to call this the Diet Nova Cat A. It's actually almost the same price as a Nova Cat A, but it's got a little bit more jump at 585. It's, of course, smaller at 55 tons. It's got the same armor as the Prime, and it's got 2 ER medium lasers, 2 ER large lasers, and a targeting computer, which is why it's at 4.4, because that T-comp essentially brings it down to 3.4. So it's just a nice little jumping sniper. It's going to try and stay out of range of brawlers and nasty units like Nitro's no Dodgy. And last and definitely least, I have Puma Adder A. It's got 2 LRM-20s. It's a 6.9 movement profile, 115 out of 119 armor. Pretty solid for a light mech. 20 heat sinks. And like I said, 2 LRM-20s, 2 small pulse lasers, and enough ammo to fire those LRM-20s for 12 turns. So it's mainly in here to meet the requirements. Basically going to be fighting these matches with my 2 Stooping Hawks and my elementals and my Salamander battle armor, and the Puma is just going to be giving fire support in the back. It also has to be my commander because it's the highest skilled one, but it's also the least durable of all of my mechs. Not by much, by like 60 armor, but still, I'm going to have a rough go of this. Mainly for the memes. I just wanted to take as many Stooping Hawks as I could, and I did.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with taking a meme list. I did not expect my Fat Lies to do so well in Virtual Pod, so you might be really surprised.
Yeah, that's true. I am light on tonnage, though, and there's a lot of mechs that are skilled down, as we've seen so far, between your list and Nitro's list. So I can't really rely on my TMM to keep me alive, which is something I kind of need to do with these 585 movement profile mechs. Like, I don't think I can afford to not jump every single turn.
I mean, you hit 9,000 BV exactly. I mean, it's a very beautiful force.
That is true. I did hit 9K exactly. The Salamanders, which we've gone through previously, are 3-4, just because I needed more heat or more options to apply heat. Or damage. So same reason why I took the Flamer Elementals. So something like Nitro's no Dachi, I can sick the Salamanders on him and mess with his TSN. Or they got a big old fat laser boat in the back that's causing problems. I can sick the Salamanders on that and make him not be able to fire all of his weapons or risk overheating. Someone's bringing Infernos, sick the Salamanders on them, make them blow up their own Infernos. But yeah, not too complicated. I'm going to have to play it real finesse-like in order to avoid as much damage as possible, which on the King of the Hill mission is going to be real hard for me in particular. Yeah, any comments or concerns outside of not having enough armor?
You nailed it right there, not having enough armor, but again, I think the power of Stooping Hawk memory will come through strong.
I think so
better. It better.
I mean, from my perspective, I see a very mobile force that can reach in that third mission, the King of the Hill mission, can reach the hill quite quickly in force. And then those standard engines alone are like, wow.
Yeah, that is true. They can take a bit of a beating. So for a 55 tonner anyway.
With 21 armor on the sides, I mean, come on.
That's why I like the mech. So we'll see if it'll perform for me. And if I don't make any dumb decisions.
Fate will be working against you or for you.
Yeah, right. We'll see. Well, and we also have to bring into consideration Zellbriggen and, challenging mechs one-on-one. I don't know if I can take an Inner Sphere assault with one of these Stooping Hawks, so we'll see how that goes. Or let alone a Direwolf.
Well, so many people are taking no assaults to get that extra cheese point, so unless you play a FedCom player, I think you're fine there.
And there's a lot of FedCom players, though, so we'll see. Well, this is not quite a FedCom player, but we'll go into another Inner Sphere list, one that I found to be very interesting, and I'm sure you guys will as well. This one's done by none other than the illustrious, the deadly Deviant-id, also known as Brad. Anything stand out to you right off the bat? Just something looks out of the ordinary?
Yeah, all his mechs arm flip.
Fair. I didn't realize the Scarabus would arm flip.
Oh, I mean, it can turn its arm around, but yeah. We're just gonna move past the elephant in the room at the very top there.
Oh, you mean that Martin Scout VTOL? Yeah, no, you're right.
That Penetrator 4D.
So this looks like a mech that Kai Allard Liao himself would pilot.
That's because it is, according to Brad. So the elephant in the room is this Penetrator PTR-4D with 0 gunnery and 0 piloting skills. That's right, the madman did it. He's emulating Kai Allard Liao. He hasn't renamed his pilot, or at least I haven't renamed his pilot to Kai because I made this list and he didn't send it to me. But it's a 464 75 tonner. Of course, this is an Inner Sphere mech. He's got a 300 standard fusion engine, which is solid, 24 heat sinks, 208 out of 231 armor. And oh man, he's got 2 ER large lasers and 6 medium pulse lasers. That means he's hitting on a -2 out the gate with this thing. And it's also got AMS for good measure, just to help out against those pesky missiles. Any words regarding this monstrosity?
I mean, I don't see him hitting with the medium pulses early on in the game due to their ranges. However, having a 0 gunnery with dual ear large lasers might bump up that weapon to a higher class than it usually performs at.
Yeah, this Penetrator is literally half his battle value at 4,083.
Well, the other thing is, if we do Zellbriggen, that Penetrator doesn't have to worry so much. It just has to get in range and start brawling and kind of avoid the fact that most units are just going to back up slightly.
Yeah, and since it's 464, I mean, it's not the quickest thing in the world, but eventually it could get into medium pulse laser range. And when it does, whatever it targets is just going to get shredded.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the elephant in the room out of the way. I guess we'll go next into the Scarabus, which is just below it. So it's a 30 tonner. He's got this one at 4.3 because this is a melee mech, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
Solid 10-15 movement profile. So this thing is quick. There's his one speedy boy right there that he's allowed, which he decided to take. 98 out of 105 armor. Pretty well armored for a light mech. He's got 2 medium lasers, 2 small lasers, and tag. Also, TSM and a hatchet. Oh, man. How much damage does that thing do?
Not as much as you'd expect, but I have heard the cult of the Scarabus being a thing.
No, it does enough. It's a 30 tonner, so you do the kick damage with an axe, which brings it up to 6 damage, right?
Then double that.
And then TSM puts it up to 12. It's a head capper. The only problem is you got to take that -4 to roll on the punch chart.
Well,
which
yeah,
is a 4/3, so
but it's deviant. He's going to do something where he's like, well, I'm just going to walk over to something that's shut down, and he's going to find some way to get like 5s to head cap.
Oh yeah, he'll just walk to something that's behind level 1 cover and then just pop him in the head with his axe.
I think that is a thing. You can use the axe on the kick table too.
Yes, you can target the kick table, but since he doesn't have a choice because you can only do the kick table, he gets it for free if they're on level 1 cover. But yeah, so a solid melee mech, head capper, scary. It's real fast at 10-15, which means he can get to objectives a lot quicker than I can, honestly. So something to look out for. Next up, he's got that Martin Scout VTOL, which we talked about. The first VTOL we've seen. This thing is quick. It's got 1320 movement profile. It's got 24 armor, so nothing to really write home about. And it's got an SRM2. I'm pretty sure this is literally just there to take up an initiative at 179 battle value.
Or is it going to be dropping off that battle armor at all?
No, it doesn't have enough transport. So it's only got 1 ton of carrying capacity, and the infiltrators weigh 4 tons, which we'll go ahead and get into. The infiltrators are likely going to be riding that blackjack.
Well, so I'm guessing that Martin then is just to go level 10 because double blind is on. So this way he'll have view of the whole battlefield.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. Okay, there you go. It's that way you can see everything. It's his map hack. So I think this is the correct infiltrator. It lines up with the battle value that was listed at 278. I could be wrong. He may be using the mag clamp infiltrator, in which case he could mount any of these units, if I'm not mistaken, if that's the case. But I don't think the battle value lined up for the mag clamp infiltrator. We'll have to have him respond in the comments down below and let us know. But this one has stealth armor on battle armor, so they're going to be even harder to hit, and they do jump for 3, so these suckers are going to be annoying to deal with. And it's got a mag shot gauze rifle, which isn't bad for an infantry weapon.
Doesn't cause very much damage versus battle mechs, does it? It's more of an anti-infantry weapon?
I think you're thinking of the AP gauze rifle. The mag shot, I think, is only 1 or 2 damage, but it goes out to like 6 hexes. Unless I'm thinking that's the King David. I don't remember off the top of my head. All these BA weapons look alike.
They do.
But that's a good crit seeker, double tapping, but also the stealth and jumping 3. That's going to be really hard to hit. So in the King of the Hill map, where there's a couple of trees, you may as well just decide that you're not going to be able to shoot those things.
That is true.
Yep, but you can always step on them and ignore that stealth, if I'm not mistaken.
That is true. Stealth doesn't work against melee.
Mm-hmm. And they're 4/4 at 278 battle value. Also real cheap, solid budget battle armor there. Up next, we have the Helios HEL-4A. 60 tonner, 464, 30 heat sinks on this thing. 176 armor, not bad. Out of 201, so pretty solid. 2 medium lasers, an ERPPC, MRM-20, and another medium laser. So 3 medium lasers, ERPPC, MRM-20. And enough heat sinks to fire everything, I'm pretty sure.
So the Helios is a St. Ives mech, as they covered in the Coolant Pod recently. So I think this, if you're talking Kai Allard from St. Ives, Helios makes sense.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention he is playing the St. Ives faction. So that explains the Kai, that explains the Helios.
He's going fluffy and he's still going to whip us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like Brad.
Yes, it does.
And last but certainly not least is this Blackjack BJ2-OC, which is an Omnimech Intersphere variant. It's a 50 tonner, 464, so it can keep up with the penetrator and cover its rear. 152 out of 169 armor, which is honestly not bad for a 50 tonner. He's got 2 LB-10Xs, 2 medium lasers, and a small laser. This is his Fly Swatter and Crit Seeker once he opens stuff up with his other mechs. I think it's solid for the battle value, 1308, and it's at 4-4. This is probably the least skilled unit on the list outside of the battle armor. Oh, the VTOL is 4-5, sorry.
Well, you called it. That's a Crit Seeker VTOL Swatter extraordinaire. Although I don't think he's going to be using it for VTOL since clans won't be using VTOLs.
Also true. But Crit Seeking is still solid.
Oh, yeah, you go up against... He knows there's going to be very tough to hit clan mechs, so that will just be a nice tax seeker.
Oh, yeah. And he's only got enough turns to fire both of those for 10 rounds. Or enough ammo to fire both of those LB-10s for 10 rounds. So I'll have to be a little... he can go pretty, he can shoot pretty freely. Maybe not shoot the first couple turns. And then just shoot every turn after that with those things. Especially on, 10s or 11s or something. But a solid inner sphere list. Very scary. 0-0 penetrator. Helios is also solid. Blackjack's also solid. For an inner sphere list, he's got a decent amount of range on his units here. Yeah, the ERPPC, the LB-10s, and those large lasers on the penetrator. He doesn't really have to get too close in order to start engaging. But that's also kind of a negative because you can stay in Zellbriggen and stay away from their shorter range weapons because they still have that one long range weapon.
Smart.
And Zellbringen is not a requirement. If you break Zell, the other person gets 5 points. So while I'm looking really forward to it, and I think it's a really fun mechanic to introduce in a fun event, anybody going hardcore cheese, just give the other guy 5 points.
Right. It might be well worth it.
Okay. So it looks like his drop deck here is, like you mentioned, FedCom, bringing in a Dice Sheaf B, Bravo. I can easily tell right now that this is, number one, it's a monster in and of itself. This battle mech is a monster. He has it at 3-4, gunnery and piloting. Armor up the wazoo, and able to reach out and touch anybody from very long distance. And it will make everybody uncomfortable down that line because with twin ERPPCs and quad Ultra 2s, it's a lot of single panel damage and at the same time crit seeking potential. Very interesting indeed. And as the rest of the lance goes, I'm thinking that he will be probably keeping this mid-range or in the backfield, either way. Probably more mid-range than anything else to bring more of its firepower to bear. The Axeman, Starslayer, and Blackjack as guards. Give me a second, guys. 1 second.
No worries. Yeah, it's a solid mech. He can shoot all 4 of those Ultra AC2s on rapid fire for 11 turns before he runs out of ammo with those 2 tons.
Yeah, I don't normally like UAC2s, but you look at this mech as a whole package, as an individual brawler. If you were to go into Zellbringen, you pop open with those ERPPCs and the LBX-10. The pulse lasers help you get it. And then you start ramming home with the crit-seeking weapons. So while it won't be totally heat neutral, if you play it aggressively and just cycle the ERPPCs, I think you'll do it.
I'm back. What were you saying?
Oh, we were just talking about the Direwolf.
What about it?
Oh, just like how you can bracket fight, basically. Open them up with the ERPPCs and then crit seek with the UAC2s and the LBX.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 304 out of 307 armor. This thing's a monster.
Mm-hmm. Which is one of the reasons why I was talking to another player and telling them, don't just leave it in the backfield. Bring it up. Have the armor share as well in the front. Even though it can target from all the way back there, I think it's meant to close in and get in there, get in the thick of it.
Oh yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Keeping this in the back and utilizing the ERPPC and Ultra AC2 range is a mistake. With that much armor and that much battle value invested in it, you need to get up there and use the armor. Or the rest of your list is going to get picked apart while you sit in the back and take pot shots.
Pretty much. Now we have the Axeman here with an XL engine. I'm not 100% fond of that. However, it does bring some very nifty toys.
Oh no, it's a light engine, not an XL.
Oh, I'm surprised. Okay. I stand corrected. 464 with a 260 light. Heat sinking 20. 21 armor and the side panels. Triple ER medium with an LBX 20. A hole puncher and a crit seeker all in one. And it also sports ECM. That should put a damper on Artemis if it's used.
Yeah, it's an inner sphere list, so it's going to hamper ATMs and Artemis as well. Because ATMs have built-in Artemis.
That is a nice forward guard, though. Having an Axeman as basically the guard of your direwolf, that seems pretty potent. Accompanied afterwards by a Star Slayer at 4-3 gunnery piloting. Max armor, standard engine, 585 movement profile, with twin large lasers, twin mediums, an SRM4 pack, and case to boot.
Now it's also got a rear-facing small laser. Don't forget that. Very important weapon.
A rear-facing small laser? How so?
It says it right there. Small laser R. Head.
No. How is it that important?
I was being sarcastic. It's not.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that. Okay. Oh my goodness. But the combination, I do have to give props to this battle mech because the combination of case and standard engine is the epitome of using case wisely. None of this case on an XL engine mech. No. Case and standard, that makes perfect, obvious sense. Yeah,
this thing's going to be a little tank at 50 tons and 169 armor. Solid.
Yep, and a little bit of a mover too. 585, that's nothing to sneer at. Followed closely by the Blackjack OC. Now, we just covered this one in the previous list we went over. It is the twin LBX 10s, twin medium lasers, and a small laser combo. It can have ammo for the entire match, that's for sure. I have found in the past that it tends to run a bit low on it, but it all depends on the situation, right?
Yeah, you got to pick your shots with this thing. I mean, you only have 10 turns to fire both of them, so maybe only fire one a turn or two if you have bad numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Or just don't fire them at all if you have bad numbers and save the ammo. But, I mean, there's also something to be said about, using the ammo before you lose it and the mech dies.
Another thing to be said is if you run out of ammo and your mech lasts that long, then you have free crit soaking.
Very true.
Very true. Very true. Not to mention the fact that this is an arm flipper, for sure. I'm not sure if the Star Slayer was an arm flipper as well. I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but it could be. We'll have to look at the actual record sheet to find that out.
But the Blackjack, definitely. Being an arm flipper, 464 movement profile, having the weapons that it has, I think it's a great addition, especially at the low BV that it is. It is 4.5 gunnery piloting. That is stock. But it's. I think it's worth it regardless.
Yeah, he's only getting a couple of those bonus points. He's definitely not getting the no assault. He's definitely not getting the 2-3 gunnery or whatever.
Does
the 3-2 Axeman counts? If that's the case, then oh man, I messed up. I should have gone 3-2 with the mech instead of 2-3.
Does the direwolf arm flip?
Oh, I
don't
know.
It does not.
Okay.
Okay, because I was going to say I'm almost curious if there's going to be a trend towards arm flippers to get rid of dashers.
But it does have both of those pulse lasers in the left arm, so it can get those into the rear arc if it needs to.
I have seen that. I have experienced that firsthand. It's not fun.
No, I'd imagine not. And one of the units you really want to get in the rear arc of, because you don't want to face all those weapons in the front, has the countermeasures to your dasher in the rear. You literally have to make sure you cluster real well with that dasher if you're going to kamikaze it into the rear arc of that Daishi, or you're going to pay the price.
Most definitely. I mean, the Daishi, almost all of its beautiful weapons are in the left arm. So you can definitely torso twist, and the left arm alone will just take care of anything behind you.
Yeah, there's literally just the LBX-10 in the right arm, which is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And you got 4 weapons in the left arm. Beautiful. So not only can it hit you with those pulse lasers, it can also take pot shots with an ERPPC at the same time.
So I think this Lance, because he's going thematic on this. I feel he's going thematic on this just by keeping it at 4 units, a full-fledged Lance, leaving it at that. He's going a bit thematic on it, and I think it is meant not precisely for Zelbringen, but it is meant to be a powerhouse of all 4 units working together in cohesion. What do you think, Pirate?
I think that I think you're right, because you do have the Axeman, you do have the Direwolf, there's going to be hole punchers, then you're going to bleed through with the Star Slayer and the Blackjack crit seeking there. But I was trying to think, like, is this maybe like the Axeman? I know somebody uses that if it's, some FedCom. It's not Adam Steiner. But I was trying to figure out if there was something else in there, but this also might just be a bunch of really cool mechs.
It's a solid formation. You get the Axeman up front along with the Star Slayer to screen for the Daishi as you move up with the Daishi, and the Blackjack hangs back and covers the rear arc of the rest of them. Absolutely solid. Take the center with the Daishi, have an Axeman or the Star Slayer on the flank, or act as headhunters for your opponent's frontline mechs. Or because you don't really have the speed to get to the rear arc or get to the back line. So you're going to have to engage the enemy's front line first and foremost. Unless you want to take pot shots with your ERPPCs, which, I mean, you can, but yeah, no, you're going to be brawling real heavily with this list.
You don't need to get into the back arc. You got the range on the Direwolf, you've got the, spamming pellets on the Blackjack. Then the other two can just kind of like get up the flanks, and at 3-2 on that Axeman, that's a nice heavy bodyguard if anything does try to get close. So I'd almost think you could just pour weight of fire from that long to medium range, and then if someone is, crazy enough to try to close, you're just on them.
Oh yeah, this is going to be absolutely scary to go up against in King of the Hill.
All right, here's my prediction though, because this always happens every time someone brings a Direwolf. LBX pellet through armor crit gyro fall.
Don't put that evil on him. Well, actually, please do, because I'm going to be facing off against these damn Daishis. But there's a lot of Direwolves that I've seen. I think there's at least 3 or 4, if not 5. Not necessarily this B variant, because they also have the choice of the Prime, but there's going to be a good amount of Direwolves for us clanners to go up against. So hopefully we get some lucky crits on these bad boys.
What's that meme? I look forward to the progress. I'm going to have to go find that meme now.
All right, so that does it for D Murder's list, who I think may be a newcomer, unless his call sign doesn't match his handle that he signed up with. So I look forward to seeing how that Lance performs.
Same.
Next up, because we've seen a lot of Inner Sphere lists, we're going to go with a clan list. And this one is none other than Luke, Free World League guard, who usually plays Free Worlds League, if I'm not mistaken. Unless this is a completely different Luke and I'm getting him confused.
Unless it's Luke as in designated DM, I think you're right.
Yeah, no, I think this is the Luke we all know and love.
I'm looking at this list and going, shoot, there's 2 mechs I don't even recognize. So, okay, let's talk about the first one, that Nova Cat A. That, I believe, is the 4 ER large with the T comp. Yeah. That thing's nasty.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yep, this is the epitome of a laser sniper mech. I mean, the only way to get it better is to run 4 large pulse lasers, but that's not applicable with cheese scores for the most part. And this bad boy is at 3-2. So if this does qualify as your, skill 2 pilot, which I messed up because I went 2 gunnery instead of 2 piloting
It
to
does.
squeeze a bigger mech. Damn it, I messed up. Then, man, is this going to be scary. So he's got 2 points there. I don't think he has any jump 7s, so he's getting the 2 points for that. No assault mechs, another 2 points. And what's the last one? I always forget. No head cappers, and we'll see if he's got any, but I doubt he does, and he's probably going for the full plus 10.
So I see this just kind of the list construction. You stick this guy in the back, you put him on top of a hill in some woods, especially if you can get him to the center of the map, where we do a lot of the random map generation. That thing's nearly unapproachable, and if something did try to get behind it, like you mentioned, arm flip, and yeah, that's nasty.
Yep, and all 4 of those large lasers are in the arms, so you will get all 4 of those into your face if you get to the rear arc of this bad boy.
And it jumps, so with a piloting 2 with the skill differential, if someone did have a 4-5 inner sphere mech, you already have a -3 with that skill differential to balance out the jumping. You got a pretty good chance of landing a 70 divided by 3. That's like a 25 or so, maybe 24 point DFA.
DFA? Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This thing is scary, and it shows. It's the penultimate mech on his list, and we'll get into that in a second. This thing is literally just about half his battle value at 3,970 BV.
Now, I want to jump down and talk about the Thor D next, because this one is, well, we just saw 4 ER large lasers in a T-comp. That jumps. This one is 2 ER large lasers in a T-comp, 2 ER medium lasers in a T-comp. That jumps.
Oh, it's also got 2 machine guns and 2 AMSs thrown in just for good measure.
Yeah, I'd almost dump the machine gun ammo. I have lost so many more mechs to AMS than AMS has actually prevented that I'm a little worried about that portion.
Yeah, you may as well dump the AMS ammo if you're going that route as well, because that's a liability. if your opponent doesn't have any missiles, that is.
Oh, for sure. But at 5.85, this thing is going to be a nice skirmisher, and that T-comp will help it when it runs and does jump. But same thing, I could see this being a nice DFA'er at 4.3, so I think he's going to be doing that or kicking at the very least. And I don't normally like Thor's, but it's got the armor, it's got a decent weapon layout. I like this one.
Yeah, this isn't bad. 182 out of 217. Solid. Now, I may have to use this in the future. Normally, I've always shied away from the Thor for the reasons you just said.
Yeah, I mean, usually the Thor's like, here's my dueling mech. It's got a hole puncher, a crit seeker, and some other support weapon. Like, what is the prime? Like a ERPPC, an LBX 10, and LRM 20 or something?
Yeah, something like that. I always get it confused with the Hellbringer because I never play either of those mechs.
Yeah, but this one is simple. It's lasers with a T-comp, and I like simple mechs like that. So this one has stamp of approval.
Yep, and it's got the heat sinks to maintain that fire too, for the most part.
Now, if we're going to go next to the Phantom E, which I had to look up as well, that is an ATM-3 and a crap ton of micro pulse lasers to keep it below that damage threshold on a 914 platform.
How much of damage is a micro pulse laser?
Same as a inner sphere small laser, so that's 3 damage apiece for 1 heat.
Wow.
Now,
That's
the range
actually perfectly puts them at 24 pulse damage, which is hilarious.
8 times 3, 24. Yeah. Wow.
And it's a 1-2-3 range, but you think the Dasher H, and we talk about how you look at it funny and it explodes. This one has the armor to tank with 11 side torso, 12 arm, and center torso armor. So you can you can use this one to go around and do those shots, and especially if people are bringing higher skilled stuff, that 3 damage instead of 6 on a dasher H may pay off.
Yeah, you're crit fishing with those micro pulse lasers versus trying to hole punch through the rear with the dasher.
And like the dasher I'm taking, even though it's a 2-3 at 1300, this one is a what skill level is that? Because it's only 975 BV at a 4-5.
He's at 4-5. So, he doesn't really need to drop gunnery with all those pulse lasers. The only thing that's going to suffer is that ATM 3, which we can assume he's going to swap out that standard ammo that it comes stock with for high explosive ammo.
High explosive, yep.
Just use it as a better SRM 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's 9 damage. Oh, yeah. That is, ATMs are very solid, especially if you can get up close and personal with them.
And it's a nice kicker, too, so it can do 8 damage kicks, so some of that lighter clan stuff is, going to get, or no, lighter inner sphere stuff. I'm thinking like if someone brought a locust, stuff like that will get knocked out.
Oh, yeah, and it's just as fast, if not faster, than a lot of inner sphere mechs at 914. I mean, the only thing that I've seen faster than it on the inner sphere side is that Scarabus so far. And that's 1 movement faster. So you're not really outpacing this bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
So backing up these 3 mechs, which I do appreciate, is a pair of or a salamander battle armor and an elemental battle armor. Now the elementals are going to be lasers. I really like the salamanders. I'm liking them more than I thought I would this event for their flamers, but the elementals to tank, especially on the King of the Hill maps, I think that'll be important. So these things, 3 mech, 2 battle armor, clan list, solid, love it.
One thing to note, this is a Smoke Jaguar list, which means his commander is that squad of elementals.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. So there's no artillery, but he can basically just hide these, and that's only 490 battle value worth of his commander that he's not utilizing, and he can use the rest of his list to screen for it because elementals can be fragile. If they get focused down, they can go down pretty quick. So he does have the advantage, especially if it's double blind. Oh man, he can put these in a building, in a forest, behind level 1 cover, and they're never going to see him.
I feel like the elementals would then be hitching a ride on the Phantom E.
Oh, I would assume the salamanders are going there, at least in the Crush the Head mission. Otherwise, then yeah, I would agree. They're going on the Phantom.
Or hear me out, because there's a Smoke Jaguar list and the elementals are the commander, put your elementals on the Nova Cat, and then the pilot is going to be the one on the center torso knocking on the cockpit going, shoot that guy, shoot that guy.
That's hilarious. And yeah, that's also, it could go on either the Nova Cat or the Thor. They both have all their main weapons in the arms. So they're both viable targets. Yeah, they can literally ride the Nova Cat all game and just not be a target, because you can't target elementals individually while they're riding a unit, and you have to get lucky to hit them if you shoot at the unit they're riding on. So that's also a cheeky maneuver that they could try.
So you can hide behind level 1. You can jump 3 for +2, and your battle armor for +3. So you can have +3 TMM all game and easy to hide. Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Oh yeah. Solid list though. 2 dedicated laser snipers and then a backstabber. I like it.
I hadn't heard of 2 of those mechs before today, so I learned something and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I tend to shy away from the Phantom, and I'll pull it up and show you why right now. It's got 24 heat sinks, and it generates all of 10 heat, 12 if it runs. So it's notoriously oversunk in some of its variants. But, I mean, this is a solid variant. It's not efficient tonnage-wise, but it's efficient for what you pay for.
Interesting. I wonder if the other Phantoms are of the same.
No, there's some solid ones. I know Vapor has a particular Phantom that he that he enjoys. I just don't remember which one it is off the top of my head.
No, it's because it's an Omni-Mech. That's why it has 12 double heat sinks. Being an Omni-Mech, they have to be able to have almost the same amount of heat sinkage across the variants. Almost.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Oh yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Most of them have the same base heat sinks. Some of them can add more with Omnipods, but they tend to not to, and just use whatever is base on the mech. All right, well, that does it for Luke's list. Any closing thoughts on this bad boy?
I am surprised he's going clan. I miss you, Luke. Why you do this? But I like this. I like this a lot. He put a lot of thought into this, and I want to see how it turns out. I want to see how he clears his missions.
Well, not only that, but this is a nice, simple list because you have super high damage sniper, so that can be your init sync as well, because it's not really going to be moving much. You've got a nice midfielder who can bully and maneuver, and then you have your backstabber, and then you have your 2 objective holders / just general chaos and mischief makers.
Very true. Very true.
I will say one thing that I think is interesting, unrelated to this topic, is I can see your screen, Jesty, and the way your units are laid out is different than my screen. So Megamech is reorganizing stuff without telling us.
No, I think it's what he has as a filter by unit name.
Yeah, I've got mine by
unit name. See, I never knew that was a thing. That's interesting.
Yeah, you can change it. Unit type.
You can right click it too.
I clicked it on BV probably.
I have it on the first option when you right click it. All of them. Yeah, that's how I have it.
Huh. Well, I'll stick to that. Yeah, I didn't realize. I accidentally clicked it up earlier and I haven't messed with it since. All right, but yeah, that does it for Luke's list. Happy to see Luke back, and I want to see how he does with this list. It's pretty solid.
I see he's going Draconis. Is this Draconis?
Yes, he is. Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Well, the Hercules, I normally associate that with Free Worlds League.
No. He's Free Worlds League. He's Free Worlds League. My bad.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, the Bishaman, the one that I'm familiar with, has a C3 master or slave, depending upon how you want to go about it. But the 3 kilo, no, it doesn't have a C3.
No, but it's got that MRM20 in there, so it's definitely a Dracomech.
And he has both Bishamans at 4-5, gunnery and piloting. They're scary, man. I can tell you this. Their movement profile, for being a quad, number one, they're a quad. Lots of leg armor. 22 leg armor across the board. It's got an XL engine, 17 armor in the side panels. That's fine because, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you have a quad on the field, the legs apparently take more damage than the actual torsos. There's just more chances to roll on the legs. Am I right?
Yeah, they take up all the arm slots for those front legs. So you're more likely to hit a leg than you are a torso, or just as likely to hit a leg as a torso at this point, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And isn't it one of those weird situations where you could end up with more crits on a leg than if the leg is just blown off?
That is true, yeah. So sometimes losing a leg is better than having a critted leg. But you get the trade-off that you can do the little sidestep thing because it's a quad mech. And if you go behind level 1 cover, all 4 of your legs are protected.
Yes.
So unless they hit one of your torsos or your head, that damage is negated.
Yes. And for those that don't know exactly what we're talking about with that little sidestep, it's when you, let's say, are looking north, you're looking up, and you need to move to the hex top right above you, on the 2 o'clock above you. You would need to turn, move into the hex, and then turn again to be looking in the same direction you were. That's 3 movement points. With this little sidestep thing, you cut away 1 movement point from that equation. So basically it takes 2 to just sidestep in and you're looking in the same direction. So I think the Bishamans are a very interesting addition 4.5s. I believe, there being two of them, I think they're going to be taking that role of enforcers up front, close and personal, being the face of the formation, if you will. The Hercules, he also has some medium pulses in those Bishamans.
Yeah, he's got 2 medium pulses, 2 ER mediums, and the MRM-20, and with 1 ton of ammo for that thing. So he's got 12 rounds of shooting the MRM-20, and these things are heavily armored for a 45-tonner, 168 out of 169. One thing to note, quads can carry more armor for their tonnage than non-quads, so he's taking advantage of it, of the design qualities right there. And also, they can drop prone and stand up for free and get that extra +1 to their TMM for being prone. And I don't think they take a penalty for firing while prone as long as they have all 4 legs.
I did not know that piece. That's good to know.
Yeah, either they may not take a penalty, or if they may take the penalty. I don't recall off the top of my head. But dropping prone is free as long as you got all your legs.
That's true. They don't take the penalty for shooting while prone.
There you go.
And they can go hold down or something for an extra TMM or something, right?
I think that's vehicles only. I'm not sure about that one. That might be an optional rule, but I know base rules, they can drop prone and not take the penalty for being prone.
Well, hot damn. Look at that. I think we're already starting to see some of the benefits that he was considering in this drop deck. The Hercules following up, this is not something that I would want to mess with 110% of the time. Even though it's got an XL engine, its movement profile is 5'8", 22 armor in the side panels, well armored everywhere else. And it has a respectable array of weaponry, ERPPC, LBX-10, those 2 alone. And then Streak SRM packs, 2 of them. And then a medium pulse laser as well, filling in more of that pulse limit. It's got 2 small pulse lasers, rear looking. I don't know. It can come in handy probably, especially if you can't arm flip. I can see the benefits of that. But 2 small pulse lasers I don't think are really going to do much. But then again, you never know. Situations. Followed up by the Ostrock 2 Delta with a 2-3 pilot this time. The Hercules had a 4-4. The Bishamans were 4-5. The Ostrock is 2-3. You can tell that this thing is going to be pretty important, and there's why. 2 ER large lasers. I'm thinking that perhaps he wants to use this unit as a sniper. 5'8 movement profile, 300 fusion engine standard, 15 doubles that can sink 30. Torso mounted armor is 22 across the board. Like we're 20s almost everywhere here, minus the arms. The arms are flimsy. But with 2 ER larges, 2 mediums, and an SRM 4, not a bad array of weaponry, especially if you want to hit from far away, start that damage going.
Yeah, one thing to note, all the weapons are in the torsos, so he is hands-free for fisticuffs every turn.
True, although that 8 armor on the arms is glaring at me.
No, you're absolutely right. That is a weak point of this mech.
Wait, the only
what?
thing... Yeah, it has 8 armor. Do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of a Jaeger mech. And then...
Kinda, yeah.
And then, the which is worse because the weaponry on a Jaeger is on the arms, and you don't want that to have 8 armor on the arms, considering it's your guns. But yeah, this thing, 8 armor, and it's surprising how... I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it's surprising how you don't want a particular component to get hit, and that's probably one of the first things that get hit.
Yeah, you see it all the time. The mech's got a sword or a hatchet, and it gets critted out turn 1 by a lucky BB or something, and you're like, gosh darn it.
Yeah, it's almost as if the 6 shooter was aiming at that and just blew it out of the hand and like, oh my god, I can't use it anymore.
One thing to note, it's 2-3, so this is definitely his commander. He doesn't have a choice. So more than likely he's going to be hiding this thing in the back and just using those lasers.
But it makes sense. It's more of a sniper role, at least at the beginning. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's got the sinks to fire those 2 ER larges every turn. So
All
and
day,
walk.
every day.
Yeah, and run, I should say. So he's perfectly neutral if he only fires those 2 and scoots every turn.
We've got ourselves his last and 5th member of the Lance. It's a Thunderbolt 8M. Now, it says that the role is a brawler. We've got a 464 movement profile, 260 standard fusion, 16 double heat sinks to sync 32. Armor, respectable armor everywhere. 206 out of 211, 24 on the side panels. Equipped with an ER large laser, triple ER mediums, and an LRM 15. And case, another, pun intended, another case where the standard engine has a case.
That's solid right there.
That is very solid. 3-4 gunnery and piloting. I think this is going to be a good partner for the Ostrak at the beginning, but then he would be moving it up with the rest of the forces. Just the armor share.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. You want this up front, or at least screening for that Ostrak. With the standard engine and all that armor, oh yeah, you got to utilize that.
I think it's also the unit that he would be using for mission 2 for DFAs. It is the only unit that I can see has jump jets. Am I right on that?
Well, you don't have to DFA. Here's the other thing. With those Bishamons, you could also just get in and start kicking.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Not to mention you can donkey kick in the rear with the quad mech.
That is true.
But at 7-11, you're very unlikely to be getting in the rear of these things.
But I do think that Thunderbolt is a solid midline keep away and then to close into bully. So if something was prone, like say the Bishamon kicks off a leg or something and the unit can't get up, Thunderbolt DFA because you get -2 against prone targets even while DFAing, that'll be nice.
Guys, wow, hold on one second. I just thought of something. I've never thought about using a quad this way, but hear me out. Think Zergling Rush. Think overrunning your opponent. These
If we could take more than 6 units, I would be all over it, let me tell you.
No, but check it. He's bringing 2 already as is. Their movement profile is 7-11. Can you imagine, because this is where that little sidestep, cutting down on that one movement point sidestep thing comes into play. Can you imagine on the first enemy mechs, you bring the Bishaman to its rear, but look away from it to continue facing the enemy forces, the bulk of them, and you did that on purpose just so that you can dual kick the rear of that first enemy battle mech?
Yeah, that'd be brutal.
Does the double kick like that push the enemy unit?
No, it just kicks.
You'd have to charge to do that.
But what if there's a push button we don't know about?
I don't think you can push with 2 legs. You have to have arms to push, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, even if it's not from the rear, I want to see a quad mech like stand up on 2 legs like a horse and just like kick with those, but pushing.
Right? Anyway, they should be able to do that.
There's probably some optional rule about that, or like ripping off your own leg and hitting someone with it.
Maybe. Yeah. There's optional rules for everything. Wouldn't surprise me.
Interesting stuff. Quads just open up this whole can of beans. It's not even a can of worms. It's a can of beans because you're going to love it.
So on the Calgary podcast, they talked about taking a quad, going hold down in woods with stealth armor or chameleon or something.
Oh my god.
So it's just standing there and it has no penalty of movement, but has like a +5 to be hit. Crazy stuff.
As far as I know, there aren't any quad mechs with stealth armor. Maybe there's an assault, like a Goliath or a Thunder, whatever it's called.
Maybe it was an SPA for like camouflage netting or something.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, they do weird stuff over there in Calgary.
But very creative.
Amazing stuff. Yeah, I wish I could play in their league, believe me. But yeah, this is another solid list. I really want to record one of these matches and see just how well he utilizes these Bishamons. That's the most interesting part of the list for me personally. The Ostrak, I'm not too impressed with. It's his cheap 2-3 mech, and I say cheap in air quotes because it's 2,300 battle value, also his most expensive unit. But it's just a sniper, pretty much, that he probably doesn't want to risk getting into fisticuffs with.
That sniper rolled up its sleeves. That's why it has no armor. It doesn't need it. It's rolling those sleeves up like, all right, come at me.
Yeah, gloves off. Let's go. But yeah, solid list. Okay, real quick before we end it here, of all of these lists that you've seen, what's a list that you don't want to face or that you're most worried about from the opposing faction?
Candidly, Luke's.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no. No. Luke's on the opposite faction. Yeah, Luke's list is probably the most nasty. If I was facing Deviant, mostly because of Deviant, but Luke's is.
From a clan player's perspective, Deviants, definitely. And from an SLDF player perspective, Luke's. That from the ones that we've studied here right now, Luke's, definitely.
And here's
the others
Luke's.
Come close, but Luke's is exceptionally different. It's interesting.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. That Nova Cat A is basically just a better version of that Stooping Hawk C that I'm taking. So more efficient too. So for me, I guess Luke's is real scary on the clan side with those long range lasers. And honestly, I'm more afraid of your freaking Brawler stupid Draconis Combine list.
Come on, it's not that great.
Yeah, but I mean, look at my mechs. I got two mediums and a light. I can't close into short range with any of your mechs, so it's going to be real hard for me to do any of those melee missions against your freaking Nodachi.
So what you're telling me is that I should bachelor you?
No, that is not what I said.
Someone's calling for a bachalin.
But yeah, this was fun. We just did a little rundown of different people's units and lists, and maybe get some insight into some of the lists here that you may not have thought possible. And also maybe you can start developing counter strategies for some of the mechs and units you've seen here for the event.
On a non-related note, since we did question it, I did look for it real quick. I do see 5 quad mech units that have stealth armor.
Oh, there's a Goliath hidden there.
The Goliath.
I know a Goliath has one, yeah.
The 3L and the 5W, but then the Xanthos, 2.0, 4.0, and 6.0.
Oh, that's 100-tonner from. Yep, there it is. 2.0. What does this bad boy got? Large, SRM4, medium, small laser, AC-10. That's not that scary. And it's inner sphere.
Yeah, it's 1300 BV for a 100-ton quad with stealth armor. That's actually, the 2.0.
That is pretty cheap. Can't argue with that.
Incredibly cheap. Incredibly cheap.
Wait, the 2.0 says armor primitive.
Oh, whoops. Not that one. My bad. Move on. The 4.0. I'm sorry. It's the 4.0 and the 6.0.
Oh, okay, that's much more expensive. 2,500, 323 armor, stealth. Jesus Christ.
42 armor in each leg.
And it's got a heavy PPC. Look at those PPCs.
Oh yeah, no, you could sit in the woods with this bad boy.
2 lights and a heavy, yep.
Yeah, so go in some heavy woods on top of a hill, go prone and hold down, and just pew pew pew.
Yep, and here's the 6.0 with stealth as well. 2 PPCs, 2 ER mediums, LRM10. Oh, 4 ER mediums, Jesus. Yep, you're chilling. And it's got a coolant pod. Oh, we have to use that one. No choice. Doesn't jump, but still solid.
And ECM too. Look at that.
No stealth on this one. But yeah, very scary. Well, with that being said, I think we're just about done here. Any closing thoughts or arguments? Thank you, Tweezer, for running the Great Refusal. Look forward to it. We know you just had a real successful, what was that tournament you guys were just at, Nitro and Pirate?
Brawl in the Bluegrass.
There you go.
Yes, sir. BTB.
Yeah, it sounded like a good time, and I'm sad I missed it.
Yeah, we'll catch you at another event.
Yeah, I just need to win the lotto so I can go to all of them.
Yeah, that's the kicker. All of them. Yeah, I know.
But I think that about does it for us. Closing thoughts, gentlemen?
I'm excited to see the wide variety of lists that are sent in, but also we need to do a post game afterwards because I want to hear some of the thoughts of why people put those things together and how they did, because I know I am notorious about putting together an awesome list and then it just sucks. Like, it just doesn't work once it actually hits the objectives. So,
I know what you mean. It's awesome on paper, but then when you bring it in, it's like a paper tiger, I guess.
oh, yeah, it's because we're like, oh, well, we'll just practice stand up fight, stand up fight, stand up fight. Oops, that's not actually one of the missions. So, looking forward to a post game on it.
Yeah, we'll see if we can track down some of these people whose lists we've covered and maybe go over more as time goes on and get some post tournament or post match analysis from them. See how they did. Maybe I'll even try and record some. I especially want to see a negator with those Bishamons and how he uses them. But that's, neither here nor there. If it happens, it happens. Well, I think that does it for us today. See you guys later.
Adios.
Take care, everyone.